Good day once again, everyone, and you are welcome to Mathematics Solution Center. Today we are going to be looking at the following topics: slope or gradient, angle of slope, angle between two lines. In this topic, anywhere you see the letter M, you should know that we are talking about slope. So we are going to be denoting slope with the letter M. So what is slope? The slope or gradient of a line is equal to change in the vertical axis over change in the horizontal axis. This is the primary definition of slope or gradient. The change in the vertical axis over change in the horizontal axis. Now we are going to be talking mostly about the slope of a straight line. The slope of a straight line is constant throughout the line. So I can take any 2 points in a straight line and use it to calculate the slope of the line. But in a curve, you cannot use just a constant 2 points to calculate the slope of that curve, because the slope of a curve changes from one point to another point, while the slope of a straight line is always constant. We want to calculate the slope of this line we have here, M. Here will be our change in the vertical axis, while change in X is the change in the horizontal axis. Our change in a vertical axis, that is change in Y, is equal to Y2 minus Y1. While change in X is going to be equal to X2 minus X1. Therefore, we can say that slope is equal to Y2 minus Y1 all over X2 minus X1. So this is the definition, or this is the formula for calculating slope. Let's say we have the following 2 points. Point A is 2,5. And point B is 7, let's say 10. And we want to calculate the slope of the line connecting point A and point B. So we already know the formula for calculating slope, which is what? Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. So all you have to do is to select which point is X1 and which point is X2. So from the given point, let's point A be X1, Y1. Therefore, X1 is equal to 2. And then Y1 is equal to 5. While point B will be X2, Y2. Therefore, X2 is equal to 7. And Y2 is equal to 10. We can now calculate our slope. Slope is equal to change in Y over change in X. Therefore, we have Y2 minus Y1. What is Y2? 10 minus 5 over X2 minus X1. My X2 is 7 minus, what is X1? 2. Therefore, we have 10 minus 5 is 5 over 7 minus 2 is 5. Therefore, the slope of this line is equal to 1. That is the answer, and that's how you calculate what slope. In case you have a negative number, just make sure that you represent the numbers the way you are supposed to represent it. Where you are supposed to have minus, don't allow the minus you have in the numbering to affect what you have. The next thing we are going to look at is angle of slope. This angle right here, let's call it angle theta. This is what we call the angle of slope. The angle an inclined line makes with the horizontal is called the angle of slope. And if you take a look at this, let's evaluate tan theta. Tan theta will be equal to opposite over adjacent. So from this diagram, we can see that here is change in Y here is change in X. This is our theta here. The slope of this line, M, written here. So we can evaluate tan theta. Tan theta is actually equal to opposite, which is change in Y now. The opposite is change in Y over the adjacent, which is also change in X. Opposite over adjacent. So tan theta is equal to change in Y over change in X. Now what is slope? Slope M is equal to what? Change in the vertical axis over change in the horizontal axis. Therefore, what this simply means is that m is equal to tan theta. The slope of a line is equal to the tan of the angle the line makes with the horizontal. The acute angle the line makes with the horizontal. That is it. So there's a relationship between the slope of a line and the angle the line makes with the horizontal. That angle the line makes with the horizontal is what we refer to as what? Angle of slope. From the question we calculated above, m is equal to 1. So we can have a question. What is the angle this line makes with the horizontal? Then it's going to be, since we already know the relationship between the slope and the angle the line makes with the horizontal, m is equal to tan theta. I want to calculate theta. I already know my slope, which is 1. Therefore, I have 1 is equal to tan theta. Take the tan inverse of both sides. Therefore, theta is equal to the tan inverse of 1. Tan inverse of 1 is equal to 45 degrees. A line that makes an angle of 45 degrees with the horizontal, we have a slope equal to tan 45, which is equal to what? 1. Let's take one more example on angle of slope. What is the slope of a line that makes an angle of 30 degrees with the horizontal? The angle is equal to 30 degrees, angle of slope. So calculate the slope. So I will just write m is equal to tan theta. Therefore, my slope is equal to tan 30. Tan 30 is equal to root 3. So that means the slope of the line is root 3. Take note of that. Now the next thing we are going to look at now is an angle between two lines. When we have two lines drawn at an angle to each other, how do we calculate the angle between them? We want to calculate the angle between these two lines. Let's say this is line 1 and this is line 2. Let the slope of line 1 be m1 and the slope of line 2 is m2. The angle between the two lines, let's call it theta. And let's come here, the angle line 1 makes with the horizontal, let's call it alpha 1. And the angle line 2 makes with the horizontal, we are going to call it alpha 2. Okay, we want to find an expression between the angle the two lines makes with each other and their slopes. From our initial definition of angle of slope, that we said that the angle a line makes with the horizontal is related to the slope with this formula. It means that m1 is equal to tan alpha 1. So the slope of line L1 is equal to the what? The tan of the angle line L1 makes with the horizontal. The same thing we are going to write for line 2. M2 will be equal to tan alpha 2. If you take a look at this triangle, we have a point here. Let's say this is point A, and here is B, while here is C. Now let's take a look at triangle ABC. In triangle ABC, alpha 2 is an exterior angle. We have this relationship that alpha 2 is equal to alpha 1 plus theta. Therefore, let's make theta the subject of the formula. Therefore, theta is equal to alpha 2 minus alpha 1. Now, let's take tan of both sides. That means tan theta is equal to tan into bracket alpha 2 minus alpha 1. Tan of double angles, alpha 2 minus alpha 1, is given by this formula. M2 minus M1, all over 1 plus m1 m2. So that is what we have. Therefore, what this simply means is that the tan of the angle, tan theta, is actually equal to tan alpha 2 minus alpha 1. Therefore, the tan of the angle between two lines is given by this formula, m2 minus m1 over 1 plus m1 m2. So this is the formula for calculating the angle between two lines when their slopes are given. What other thing can we use in? Can we actually use this formula to calculate? Let's look at parallel lines. Two lines are parallel when the angle between them is 0. That is when we have two lines to be parallel. If I have a line like this, another line like this, it means the angle between them is what? 0. They make the same angle with the horizontal. The angle between the two lines, not the angle they make with the horizontal. Though they make the same angle with the horizontal, but the angle between two of them is 0. That is, there is no angle between two parallel lines. When two lines are parallel, theta is equal to 0. This is the number one condition for parallelism of two lines. That means we have tan 0 is equal to m2 minus m1 over 1 plus m1 m2. Tan 0 is actually 0. That means we have 0 is equal to m2 minus m1 over 1 plus m1 m2. You can say this is over 1, and then you can now cross multiply. When you cross multiply, we are going to have 1 times m2 minus m1, that is what? m2 minus m1 equals to 1 plus m1 m2 times 0. Everything is going to be 0. Therefore, we can take m1 to the other side. It means that m2 is equal to what? m1. This is the number 2 condition for two lines to be parallel. So when two lines are parallel, their slopes are equal. Take note of this. When two lines are parallel, line 1 is parallel to line 2, then the slope of these two lines will be equal. Number 1 condition is that when two lines are parallel, the angle between them is 0. And number 2 condition is that when two lines are parallel, their slopes are equal. Please take note of these two sentences. And another condition we can still have for two parallel lines is that they make the same angle with another common line. Okay, let's look at perpendicularity. When two lines are perpendicular, the angle between them is actually 90. So theta is equal to 90 degrees. That is what it means. That is the only condition for two lines to be perpendicular. When two lines are perpendicular, the angle between them is 90 degrees. Therefore, let's substitute 90 degrees for theta in our formula. So we have tan 90 is equal to m2 minus m1 over 1 plus m1 m2. But what's the value of tan 90? Tan 90 is undefined. Tan 90 is undefined. m2 minus m1 over 1 plus m1 m2. So tan 90 is undefined. The only condition that we can have undefined in mathematics is when you press tan 90 or you divide a number by 0. Take note of that. When you divide a number by 0, you can use your calculator. Just press any number divided by 0. You are going to have error. It means it is undefined. What this simply means is that this denominator, everything here, is equal to 0. So for us to have undefined condition, 1 plus m1 m2 is equal to 0. So we can take 1 to the other side. m1 m2 is equal to minus 1. This product of the slopes of two perpendicular lines is equal to minus 1. And you can make one of them the subject to the formula. It simply means that m1 will be equal to minus 1 over m2. So when two lines are perpendicular, the slope of one is the negative inverse of the slope of the other one. And the same thing, m2 will be equal to minus 1 over m1. The slope of a line, m1, is equal to 2. So number one question is, calculate the slope of a line that is going to be parallel to the line that has a slope of 2. And number two, what will be the slope of a line that is perpendicular to the line? So solution, m1 is equal to 2. We want to calculate m2, but line m1 and m2 are two parallel lines. So when two lines are parallel, their slopes are equal. It simply means m2 is equal to m1, and they will have the same slope too. So this is number one. For number two, when two lines are perpendicular, the product of their slopes is equal to what? Minus 1. Therefore, m1, m2 is equal to minus 1. So 2 m2 is equal to minus 1. Therefore, make m2 the subject of the formula. m2 will now be equal to minus 1 over 2. So the slope of two lines that are perpendicular, the product of their slopes is equal to minus 1. And when two lines are parallel, their slopes are equal. In our next tutorial, we are going to be seeing examples on how we can apply everything we've learned in this tutorial. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate you for your time. But if you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel, kindly click the subscription button now. Like this video, share it, and at the same time, don't forget to put on the notification. Thanks, and remain blessed.